Well, March is National Credit Education Month, and it's something we're trying to talk more and more about. The literacy, financial literacy is so important. Now, of course, hand in hand with credit is debt, which can be debilitating. And unfortunately, more Americans are carrying credit card debt month to month than they have in years. So to talk about how to deal with debt now and to prevent it from piling up in the first place, I'm happy to have Bruce Adams, the president and CEO of the Connecticut Credit Union League. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, good to have you in here.
Thanks.
I had to sort of learn a lot of things. I wouldn't say the hard way, but I did not have a lot of financial literacy education when I was in school. So I'm glad you're here to help teach a lot of people things that they might not already know. We'll get to that in a second. First thing I want to do is ask you about these two bank failures now, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. There's a lot of unease. Where does that leave sort of investors and everyday people?
Well, investors and everyday people are two very different populations.
Yes.
And here in Connecticut, most people with the money in a credit union or a bank are everyday people. And so their money is safe and sound and secure. That gives them the opportunity to stop and think about their own personal finance, how best to protect their money. And if they need help, they can go to their credit union and ask for help protecting it as much as possible.
Yeah. And part and parcel of that is making sure you get a handle on whatever debt you are carrying over. That can just feel like an endless loop for some people. They are only able to pay the minimums whenever they can. They don't know how to smartly allocate those dollars. And I feel like picking where you're going to put it is probably the single most important piece of the puzzle, isn't it?
I think that's right. I mean, so many people will say, well, don't get into debt in the first place. And that's just not a reality for many people.
Right.
So the best thing to do is to look at all your debts, find the ones that are the highest interest rate, pay those off first, and make sure you hit those minimum payments as best you can.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really that simple. And sometimes people also try to complicate the issue by saying, well, shouldn't I be putting this money away from retirement? Well, you can look at those yield percentages too, and if it's not as high as your highest credit card debt,
you're losing money.
You're losing money.
Right.
So you mentioned some people try to say you just want to get not accumulate the debt in the first place, and that's not that realistic. But what can we do to sort of prevent a lot of this debt from piling up to an unmanageable level?
Well, I think really what most of the experts say is build whatever kind of an emergency fund you can, whether it's a couple $100, $1,000, whatever. But if you have that ability to absorb a short-term financial shock, then you can avoid going into last-minute emergency debt.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Now, what if you're trying to decide between you already have debt and you've got a little chunk of change that came your way? Should you put that into an emergency fund now or use that to go right after the debt first and foremost?
Well, it's a close call for many people. And so the best thing that we've thought of to say is to go into your local credit union or your bank, find somebody you trust to give you that good advice that's personalized to you. But at the end of the day, what's important is have a little bit of money to spend right now in case you need it, and start socking it away against that debt.
Yeah. I don't know if this is out of your purview, but I see a lot of commercials for like debt consolidation services. I see people say there's ways you can try to negotiate debt down. How viable of an option is that? I imagine it varies from person to person based on the kind of debt you're carrying, but.
And it varies from company to company. I mean, no, we don't give things away for free in America. So if you're using a service, somebody's making money somewhere.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, all right. Is there any sort of last tips for people to try to build just the right amount of credit without getting too much debt coming their way?
Sure. Well, the first thing that anybody should really do is try to educate themselves so they make good decisions. And if you know that you don't know something, then go find somebody you trust.
Yeah.
We like to think credit unions are a great place to start with that. They've got no-cost financial counselors, and we're ready to stand with you and help you chart your path to financial independence.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, right? Well, knowing is half the battle, wasn't it? You used to say about G.I. Joe. It's probably a lot more than half the battle when it comes to debt. Bruce, thank you so much for joining us today. We certainly do appreciate the advice that you're giving. And remember, that's the one thing you want to take away from this. Find that percentage that is the highest in terms of your debt. Go right after that first. It's really, that's most of the game right there.